bread from heaven. So the Lord said to Moses, behold, I'm going down to rain for you bread from heaven, and the people shall go out and gather what is needed for the day, so that I can test them whether or not they will follow my teaching. It's all a test. Bread from heaven. So we've got, he knows what is in the dark. This is from I've done loads of teaching based on this because it's all related to the Zohar. It's a phenomenal teaching. If you go look at the Jonah teaching that I did, you'll go through this. It's wonderful. It's all about, collapsing the wave function of judgment to reveal the oneness and things like that. He knows what is in the dark. What is in the dark? The wisdom that we need, that is the secret. The Aleph is hidden in the dark, basically. The Aleph is hidden in the serpent. He knows what is in the dark. 466 plus 97 is 563, bread from heaven. And it was also that verse that we've just looked at, wasn't it? Moses, please heal her now. Let's just go back so we know. I'll make sure I've got that bit right. Yeah. Oh, come here, come back. So this one is 563, isn't it? I beseech you now. I beseech you, please God, heal her now. Right? So we've got the 563 that's related to the Babylon. Right? Let's go. We've not got to make these connections because I ain't got room for absolutely everything on all the things. So bread from heaven is also 563. She needs healing because she spoke against Moshe. And it's just exactly the same as the people speaking against the bread from heaven that caused the serpent to come and bite them, that then needed the staff lifted up. So he knows what's hidden in the dark. What's hidden in the dark? The truth. Yeshua is the Moshiach. Od Yosef Chai. Okay, it's hidden in the dark. And they believed in Hashem. And they believed in Hashem. So this is from Exodus 14:13, and that comes to, you've got regular ordinal 239, square ordinal of 828, a squared regular of 4563. So this is a great merit to the children of Israel, and they believed in YHWH. 5630, so 10 times this. Let's just go and have a look at this verse. Okay, so I've just brought this up. It's just so you've got a little bit of context. It's just as they're about to go through the sea. It says, Moses said to the people, don't be afraid, stand firm and see the Lord's salvation that will wreak for you today. For the way you have seen the Egyptians is only today, but you shall no longer continue to see them for eternity. Okay, so you've got this whole episode then of the angel of the camp. We did a big analysis of that. The angel of the angel of God, and that's basically Yeshua. And then it goes all the way down, and he removed the wheels of the chariots. This is to do with Metatron as well, who's the wheel upon the earth. And then right at the end, but the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the water was to them like the wall on the right and from their left. On that day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dying on the seashore, and Israel saw the great hand which YHWH had used upon the Egyptians, and the people feared YHWH, and they believed in YHWH and in Moses his servant. So we want to get to that, don't we? Want to get where they believe in YHWH and just wait a minute, sorry. We believe in YHWH and his servant Moses. Okay, very important. Right, so let's go back. So, and they believed in Hashem and Moshe, who they'd complained against, who Miriam had complained against. Got Babylonian again, we've already gone through that, so we can see the connections with that. That should actually have a P in front of it. Just wait a minute. Right, so there we go. We've already gone through that, haven't we? So we're not going to go through that, but we can see how it's connected. We connected it up through the truth. We can see how it's connected to the bread of heaven also. It's opposite the bread of heaven. It's the literal interpretation of the Torah that doesn't contain the bread, the revelation that is the bread from heaven. And then we've got this, Akiva. This is one of the spellings of Akiva. I think it's within the Jerusalem Talmud. And Esav. Together they come to 563. The reason why I put them together is because just as it was the will of YHWH to cause the light of Moshiach ben Yosef to descend into Esav. Okay, and one of the main people that allowed that to happen was Akiva, because he promoted a false Messiah, Bar Kokhba. Okay, and then there was a Bar Kokhba rebellion, and then this caused separation between the earliest Jewish believers in Yeshua and the rest of the Jewish people. It caused a big separation. Just as Paul, he was a vehicle of descent. He was misinterpreted, and because Paul was misinterpreted, it caused a bigger descent, a severing from the Hebrew roots. The light of Moshiach was completely severed from the Hebrew roots and completely descended into the exile of Edom, Rome, the Pope and everything like that. But also at the same time, there was a descent of the light of Moshiach ben Yosef within Judah, because the truth was, because Yeshua was severed from his root, the Hebrew root, then that led to a lot of misinterpretation from within rabbinical Judaism that fueled the exilic mindset called the Erev Rav, and allowed the Erev Rav to dominate over Judah to a very, very big degree during this Edomite exile. Akiva was a vehicle for allowing that to happen. But just as the serpent, in one way, just as Paul really was a serpent, it was a vehicle for descent, is also the potential to be the ladder of ascent, just as Metatron can be a ladder and also a serpent. It just depends whichever way we're looking at it. So too, all the things that cause descent can also be the vehicle for ascent. So Akiva was a cause, that it caused this problem that creates exile, the exile of the truth from Judah, the exile of the truth, the Hebrew truth. Hebrew is synonymous with truth. I've told you this many, many times. Okay, so it allowed the truth to descend into the darkness, and it's for us to reveal that secret inner meaning that's hidden in the darkness, of Rome, that's hidden in the darkness of the Erev Rav. Okay, so Akiva caused that light, the light of truth, to descend in terms of from a Jewish perspective, and Paul caused the light to descend from a Christian perspective, or from the house of Yosef perspective. But there's a unity between Akiva and Esav that occurred. Just as there's a unity between Yeshua and Esav to a certain degree, he had to go into Esav in order to bring out the truth, and also he had to descend into Esav to subdue Esav. Esav needs subduing. This needs to be subdued to the side of holiness. This is another way of looking at the concept of the body and the soul. The vessel and the light. So Akiva in one way represents the light, but the light in descended where? Into Esav. And you can even get this because Akiva married the wife of his executioner, Turnus Rufus, a Roman convert to Judaism. Okay, right. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to go over this very, very soon. This is exciting. We're going to go and have a look at some exciting concepts that are going to link Rabbi Akiva and, like I said, the concept of Paul back to. But I've just put some slides together where we're just going to have a look. I already had them, but I just wanted to just go in a deep dive into this whole concept of Akiva marrying the wife of his executioner, Turnus Rufus, a Roman convert to Judaism. But first of all, we've got this Sar Hapanim, which this is Yeshua. 685 the bread from heaven, and 100 represents the truth, because it's Yaakov, the ordinal of Yaakov, 47, but it's also Yaakov, if we add to that 53, Yaakov when he's got the letter Vav included in him, that represents the truth, Od Yosef Chai. So 47, 53 comes to 100. Okay, 7. So it's really the letter Vav, Yaakov, the bread from heaven. Again, that relationship between the Vav and the He. Now, Akiva in a lot of ways is a Vav, and Esav is the He that needs rectifying. Okay, it's a fallen state. We're all subject to Esav. We're all subject to our lower nature. Eve is subject to bodily influence over the soul, and we need to transform that round. Let's go and have a look at this, because this is really fascinating, really wonderful. So Akiva descends into Esav like Paul descended into Rome. He was misinterpreted, and because he was misinterpreted and disconnected from his Hebrew roots, he was then caused the light of Moshiach and David to fully descend into Roman dominion. And Akiva has allowed, Akiva through misinterpretation has caused the light of Moshiach ben Yosef to descend into Erev Rav dominion. Okay, so we've got these very powerful dark forces hiding and concealing that light. So let's have a look at this, because it's unbelievable. This is written in the Talmud. This is when we can take what's written in the Talmud and transform it in from darkness into light. Some of these things that are written there are very controversial, but they hide a great light. As long as we put them in the right order, they become the letter to Aleph, as opposed to the serpent that bites and keeps us in a state of perpetual ego domination. We need to get into Yaakov dominated reality, truth dominated reality, instead of imagination dominated reality. The Gemara raises an objection from a Bereta. This was an incident involving Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who was on a step on the Temple Mount and saw a certain Gentile woman who was exceptionally beautiful, and said, "How great are your works, O Lord!" And Rabbi Akiva too, when he saw the wife of the wicked Turnus Rufus, he spat, laughed and cried. He spat as he was created from a putrid drop. He laughed, for he foresaw that she was destined to convert and he would marry her. He cried at this beauty, as this beauty would ultimately be consumed by dirt. And that is written in the Talmud. So we know that Rabbi Akiva, and he did actually marry her. We've got, this is a whole debate that goes on regarding why did Rabbi Akiva marry the wife of Tyrannus Rufus. He's got different names. He's got Turnus Rufus and Tinius Rufus, I think, is another one. You can go and have a look at that. Why did Rabbi Akiva? There's loads of different commentaries on it. A little bit of argument between Jewish people. It's quite interesting. And then this comes up. This is in Nedarim 50a. We know he married her because, and Rabbi Akiva also grew wealthy from the wife of Turnus Rufus, who converted and gave him her money. And from Ketia bar Shalom, a Roman minister, who bequeathed his fortune to him. So this was part of the argument that I found on here, that he actually did marry her. And the sages talk about it as well. Just wait a minute. Okay, so this is very interesting, because this is going to illuminate for us a little bit of what we're talking about, that letter Vav needing you to unite with the letter He. The letter He is in exile. Which exile? Edomite exile. It's represented by Esav. Okay, so as at Yaakov Dinro, I just picked this up off the internet because I found this very interesting, and there's probably a lot of wisdom and light hidden in here, a lot of that letter Aleph to be revealed. Rabbi Akiva married Turnus Rufus's wife because he saw in a vision that he was going to marry her after she converted. As to why he may have had such a vision in the first place, Benzion Fischler wrote an essay on Rabbi Akiva and his wives, and brings the Ari in Likutei Hashas Yevamot, who says, let's go and have a look at this, it's interesting. This is a translation of what is obviously, I think, written in this essay. Translation: that people say the you follows the you. Know that Rabbi Akiva is a typification of Yaakov Avinu. Okay, so we know Yaakov Avinu is the letter Vav, and for this Akiva is the letters Yaakov Avinu, short for Yaakov Avinu, and so, like Yaakov, was the shepherd of his father-in-law. So if you take the letters of Yaakov and Akiva, you've got the same letters as well. And Yaakov had two wives, so Rabbi Akiva married the daughter of Kalba Shavua, I think that's how you say it, and the wife of Turnus Rufus was against Leah, and for this he said, on the daughter of Rabbi Akiva, the ewe follows after the ewe, for her mother and was part of the secret sword of Rachel. We wanted the sword, aren't we? We wanted the inner secret meaning of the Torah of Rachel, and her daughter was also in the secret sword of Rachel. And Rabbi Akiva is a spark of Rabbi Moshe Rabbeinu. And what happened to him in his being the shepherd of Kalba Shavua is a typification of Moshe Rabbeinu, the flock of Yitro, and Yaakov, the flock of Lavan, and also his taking of his daughter, a typification of Rachel and Zipporah, and his taking of the wife of Turnus Rufus, like Moshe Rabbeinu's taking of the queen of Cush. So this again is connected to Miriam. Why did Miriam speak against Moshe? Because he'd married the Cushite woman. It's written in the Torah. She talks about the Cushite woman, and she's afflicted with leprosy. It's all connected. So then you've got Rabbi Akiva, who marries his own executioner's wife after she converts to Judaism. Okay, and it's equivalent, because he's got a soul that's equivalent to Yaakov, and Yaakov is the letter Vav, and Moshe is the letter Vav, and Akiva is the letter Vav. They followed what had gone previously. So Yaakov married two sisters that he got from shepherding the flock, okay, of Lavan. He got the two ewes, Rachel and Leah, from shepherding the flock of Lavan. Moshe Rabbeinu got from the flock of Yitro. Do you understand? So he got Zipporah, but he also took the wife, what was called the queen of Cush. Now some people say the Cushite woman was Zipporah, and in another midrashim it says that no, he actually did marry a Cushite queen. She's a black woman. You know, that's what that means. So there's all kinds of mysteries involved in this, all kinds of secret teachings that we've got to start to connect to. Now, why do we need to connect to them? Because we will never unite with the Vav until we do. We will never be cured of our sickness of Lashon Hara until we do. So we've got to understand, well, what's going on then. It seems that according to the Ari, the reason Rabbi Akiva married the wife of Turnus Rufus was because of his connection to Yaakov and Moshe. His life reflected their lives, and this was a continuation of that trend, so to speak. Perhaps this is the reason he received a vision that he would marry her, to push him to do that as a continuation of his life reflecting those of Yaakov and Moshe. It wasn't at all. It was to reveal the truth that there is nothing else beside him, YHWH. You know, where you have to only find that wisdom hidden in darkness. It's like the Torah is had to be given in the place of snakes and scorpions. This is our coded message, because it's only in that place where we do get the clear Torah revealed. It's when we're experiencing, you know, all the savage realities of life in the desert wanderings of life, getting bitten by the scorpions and snakes, and finding a solution to that problem is the real truth of the Torah revealed. There's nothing but YHWH. Okay, so we've got to be placed in a situation that appears something other than YHWH to conclude the reality that there is only YHWH. And that wisdom can't be dreamt of. It's got to be experienced. It's got to be revealed through our physical life. It's got to manifest. It's not something we can learn from in a book. We've got to walk it and breathe it and see it and feel it and be immersed in it until we reveal from that the truth. That is the Aleph. You know, from within the belly of the serpent. So perhaps this is a reason he received the vision. So Rabbi Akiva had to descend, didn't he? That the truth that if we're able to interpret the Babylonian Talmud correctly, let's say it like this, we will reveal the Aleph. But until we reveal the Aleph, we will reveal the serpent that bites and puffs up our ego, and that is exactly what happens within Yehuda. So exactly the same thing goes on within the truth that has been revealed but has then descended via a channel of descent, which is Paul, into Roman dominion. Paul was a Roman. He used something that enabled him. Rabbi Akiva came from converts. Okay, so he used something that was somehow attached to that reality to cause the descent. But like I say, the serpent becomes the ladder. You see the serpent? That's what we transform into the letter Aleph. In order to we went down one way, we go back the same. It's that's how it works. So somehow Paul is how we ascend back up. If we interpret Paul correctly, we ascend back up. If we interpret Rabbi Akiva properly and the teachings that are within the Babylonian Talmud properly, we will ascend back up to the top. We will reveal YHWH, we will reveal the Aleph. Instead of the serpent that bites and puffs up our ego, we will be humbled and we will unite, because we will see that we've been on the same journey. Two camps. Yaakov split into two camps when he faced Esav. Okay, that's exactly what has gone on. So there was the camp, he split into two camps. He separated the sons of Leah from the sons of Yosef, and the sons of Bilhah from the sons of Zilpah, and he sent them it was two camps, basically, the sons of Leah and the sons of Yosef. And this is exactly what's happened. He split the camps up when facing Esav, just in case one of them were to perish. Okay, because you've got to understand what they are carrying. They're carrying the name YHWH, and one is contained fully within the other. So if one camp was to go, there would be another camp. From that camp you would get, eventually you would get, from that one camp is the other. So it's like Moshiach, the bones of Yosef contained the entire Torah of Moses. You know, this one is the sage says, in this ark is the one who kept what is in this other ark, i.e. the Ark of the Covenant that contained the stone tablets. So one perfectly kept the other. The two arks that went in the wilderness, followed the children around in the wilderness, there was the one that contained the stone tablets, the manna, and the rod of Aaron. Well, the manna was outside, and then there was Yosef's ark. These accompanied them in the Torah. There were two arks, two camps. In one was the bones of Yosef kept the other perfectly. One was a perfect representation of the other, and vice versa. So if you split them into two camps, even though one is the Torah revealed within the letter of the name you revealed within the letter of the Torah, the name revealed out with the letter of the Torah, if one was to perish in this Edomite exile, there could be a chance that one survived. And from the one that survived, it reveals the whole name anyway. So you've got to understand what's happening. So Rabbi Akiva caused the one camp, the camp to descend into, that was really Leah, the Judah, to descend into Erev Rav, which is basically Edomite. It's Edomite descent. Caused that light, the true light of Moshe, the Torah of Moshe, to descend into Erev Rav. Paul caused the light of Moshiach ben Yosef, the Torah of Moshiach ben Yosef, to descend into Esav. Two camps going up against Esav. Okay, so this is what's happened. But in this darkness of exile is hidden the wisdom, the secret inner meaning of the Torah, the letter Aleph. Hidden in the serpent is the Aleph that we need, the Emet that we need to reveal the truth. There is only YHWH and nothing else beside him. Okay? It's all wonderful and perfect. This Ari also seems to answer the other question. Yes, he was married to both at the same time, much like Yaakov was married to Rachel and Leah at the same time. Okay? But we've got to understand the kingdom of heaven, the name YHWH, the lower hair is Rachel. Leah is the upper hair. Okay? And it's the Vav that unites with the lower hair, just as the upper hair is always continually united. So there's all kinds of things that we can look into it. We've got to start now to make all these important, significant connections, else we're just going to be like, there's just going to be like that jungle in our mind, that whole load of chaos. And the only way we can deal with that chaos, you know, like I talked to you about, you know, like I used to tell my maths students, just hack away and carve the path of truth through this. Carve the path, go over it and over it and over it until it's second nature to you. And that's what we've got to do. Instead of being afraid of this jungle that's before us, we need to take dominion over it. Okay, we can't just stick there like we stick in our own little fearful place and not solve the problems of this world in which we have been born into. We've got to come up with the solutions to the problem we are facing. We are sick. We are in exile. We are exiled from the truth, which is the name YHWH, and we need a remedy now. So we can't just sit there and think, well, it's too hard for me. Just sit. Look, if we just group ourselves with all these other little people that are too intimidated by this problem, or have come up with solutions to avoid the problem, i.e. exile states of consciousness, like what you find within Judaism and what you find within Christianity, well, we'll just stick to what we know. We just stick to what we know. This is it. We're the entire truth. No, you've got the entire jungle that needs to be rearranged. You've got the entire brain that's not functioning properly. In order to perceive the name YHWH, you're in complete exile. What are you going to do about it? Sit there, exile forever? Get your machete and get on and do what you should be doing. Create these neural pathways. Experience the truth. The truth shall set you free from being afraid and huddled in a corner of your own brain, unable to perceive the knowledge of YHWH. That fills the entire earth as the waters cover the sea. What reality do you want to live in? That? Not knowing your own potential? Not knowing that you can actually perceive the entire of reality as completely filled with YHWH and nothing else beside him? Don't live like that. Take everything, every last drop of, you know, like the putrid drop that he talked about. Take that and make out of it something that's glorious. We should be able to. You know, we should be able to take the most putrid drops of reality and transform them into the greatest glorious illuminations of the name YHWH, because he didn't make putrid drops. He made glory, and that's it. He awesomeness, and that's it. And if we're going to settle for putrid drops, well, you've missed the whole point of this creation. It's not about concluding in error. It's about hitting the mark and concluding in absolute certainty that there's only YHWH and nothing else beside him. Is what putrid drops? I don't think so. It's glory and nothing else beside. Right, so let's quickly go through these. I've already gone through these numbers. I'm just putting them up for consistency. We've already gone through these numbers. 563, how it's all related. And then Moshe cried out to the Lord, saying, I beseech you, please God, heal her. Heal her of not knowing the secrets, of not knowing the letter Aleph that you've hidden in Esav. Okay.